What is up, boys and girls? My name is Neri Jr., Creative Director here at 7FX. And today I just want to jump into Photoshop, Adobe Photoshop, and show you how to create an animated GIF for your email newsletters. Okay, so if you're sending out email campaigns every week or every month, this is a cool way of having your graphics stand out a little bit. A lot of us upload photos to our email campaigns or upload even videos, which is awesome. But if you're just uploading kind of stale images, in order to create a little bit of more ROI or a little bit more of an enticing experience for your recipients, I'm going to show you how to create a really simple animated GIF using Adobe Photoshop. Okay, so when we are now on the computer, and I'm going to show you how to create this email GIF, a little animated GIF for your email newsletters. So first things first is what I always do is I create what's called a folder hierarchy. And that's just me having a way to organize my folders. So this is an example folder right here for a boxing GIF. Go ahead and click on there, and I already have an asset in place, which is a photo of this boxer. And this is the image that I'm going to be using to create our animated GIF today. Okay, so you could go ahead and pull whatever image you like. Depends on the industry you're in. If you took a photo, if you downloaded one, just grab any photo you like, and it'll work appropriately, given that you have a nice size image. Okay, and we'll pull this into Photoshop, and you see what I mean. So first things first, let's go ahead and open Photoshop. I already have it open here to save us some time. And what I do typically, if I already have my image, I go ahead and drag it, click and drag it into Photoshop, and I'll let that open up, and then I'll go ahead and make Photoshop a little bit bigger. Then what I do is I make sure I have a good size image. I go to image size, and I'm gonna click on pixels, because when we design for the screen, it's always in pixels. Okay. And right here, it looks like we have 5,184 pixels, which is a really good size. Our resolution is at 72 dpi, which is always supposed to be at 72 for the most part when you're designing for screen. If you're designing for print, so like a business card or flyer, then that's when it would be 300 dpi. I'm gonna click OK. Another thing that I want to check is make sure image mode that I'm in RGB. Making sure that my image is in RGB, because every time we design for something for the screen, we have to make sure it's in RGB color mode, red, green, and blue color mode, versus CMYK, which is cyan, magenta, yellow, black, which we choose that option for print only. Okay, and we might do another video on that, how to set up something for print. But right now we're setting, since we're setting up this GIF, animated GIF, we know that it's being designed for the web or for screen. So those are the kind of specs that we have to keep in place. Okay, so that being said, this is the image I want to grab, and okay, I verified that it's a good image. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my Photoshop document. I'm going to go ahead and create a new file here. We'll go to File, New, and I have to decide what size I want, and that's really up to you guys. Depends on whatever size you want. It depends on if you're using MailChimp or if you're using SendGrid, whatever you're using. They usually have some specs on what you need to use. Typically though, the rule of thumb is if you're designing something for a newsletter or something for your email, we try to keep the width at 600 pixels. Okay, mainly because of mobile, for mobile purposes. That's what what's been recommended to us, is that 600 pixels. Now by the height, that could be whatever you want. At this point, we're going to go ahead and create just a square. So we're going to do 600 by 600. So that's a perfect square, or what we call a 1:1 aspect ratio. Again, remembering that we have 72 dpi and our color mode is at RGB. Okay, 600 by 600 pixels, 72 dpi, and RGB. Very important that you have 72 and RGB. Okay, can't stress that enough when you're designing for the web. Now we're going to go ahead and hit create. Now I have my little small canvas here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this image in and drag it onto this into this little square over here. Now there's many ways you could do this. You could go File, place embedded, and you could place it there. You could just drag it from your Finder like this. That's one way of doing it. Okay. The reason I drag it into Photoshop first is because I like to verify that I have a big size, right? Now, remember that our width that we're designing in is 600. So we know that we're way good with this one because this is 5,000 pixels, okay? So remember, you could always shrink down, but you never want to size up when you have an image. It's going to pixelate, okay? The rule of thumb is only going up and up about 10%. Okay, so this is a good size, so I'm just gonna go ahead and drag this into this canvas, and you can see that obviously I'm just getting the chin of the mask here, or the headgear. So I know that that's a good size. So I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom out, and I'm gonna go ahead and just shrink this down over here, just so I could fit her in place. Okay, and now I make a few decisions. I'm gonna zoom in. A few executive decisions were on placement. I know that I'm going to have some text going into this because I'm going to promote something. So I want to make sure I leave enough space for my text. So I'm going to throw her kind of to the left over here, so I can still see that she's in frame. But I have enough white space over here, what we call it, for text. And this is going to be the animated portion right here, where I'm going to add a simple text, okay? I'm gonna hit return or enter to kind of just place it. Okay, just move it up a little bit so we don't have any weird edges. Okay, good. And I think that's an okay placement. And knowing that I'm gonna put my text over here. Now that I have it in here, make sure you always save. So I'm gonna go File, Save As. I'm gonna save my Photoshop document first. So I'm gonna rename this to Boxing GIF. Go find my folder, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop it in here and press OK. And now I know that I have a working Photoshop document, or .psd. Okay, now I'm gonna go ahead and add pieces of text. Now you have to always begin with the end in mind when it comes to designing these GIFs. So I know that I want my my GIF, the animated version, to say first class free. So I only want 3 pieces of text that says first class free. So I have to design knowing that. So what I'm gonna do first is go grab text, and that's over here to the left on my toolbar over here, or it's a T on your keyboard. And I'm gonna go ahead and click in the canvas. And you see that it's black, I can't see anything, so I'm gonna highlight it and change the color up here to white. And I'm gonna type in my text first. Now, the trick here is that we wanna create layers, okay? So right here to the right, we have our layer section. So we wanna create different layers because each layer is gonna be animated. So this first layer, my first text layer, I'm gonna leave it as is, and I'm gonna go ahead and press this check box up here to kind of put it in place. And I'm gonna hit my move tool so I can move it around. And we'll go ahead and copy this text here. One way to do it is by, if you have a Mac, you could hold Option, click and drag, and that'll duplicate it. Or if you click on your layer, you can press Command J, and that'll duplicate that layer also. Just remember to move it, okay? Now I'm gonna double click in here so I could manipulate this text, and I'm gonna place right here the word class. So I'm gonna write the word class or type it. First class, and I'm gonna hit the move tool again, just so I could render it in place, move this around. First class, and then I'll adjust the type in a bit, and then I'm gonna duplicate this again with Command J, and then click and drag. Double click, and then type the word free. Okay, so I have, and I'm gonna hit move tool over here. I have my sequence now going first class free. Now I'm gonna go ahead and adjust the text a little bit so it could be look a little bit neat. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna align it to the left. So I'm holding shift, click, hold shift, and then I click on each layer. And then I'm gonna go up here to my align section, and I'm gonna align to the left. Okay, so that's kind of what I want. Aligned it to the left. And I'm gonna move this guy, the word free, up a little bit until I get that kind of notification where it says 16 pixels by 16 pixels or however equal amount. So that means that it's kind of equal. It's a cool feature that Photoshop has, so you don't have to kind of eyeball it. Now I'm gonna go ahead and grab these three again and then grab the corner here and stretch it out. I just wanna make this a little bit bigger. And then pull it out here a little bit. I don't want it touching her hand too much. It creates too much friction. We want some more white space there. So I want to put it right in this corner. I don't want it touching the edges too much. I want some breathing room, and I'm going to add it right there. And I'm going to hit return or enter. And that kind of puts it in place, okay? So that's kind of the gist, a simple way to, just a simple GIF, right? So I wanted to say first class free. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and rearrange my layers just so for my own sanity. So I know that the animation is going to say first class free, right? Right here on the right, first class free. And I could turn them off and on. So I know it's going to say first class free, correct? All right, so that's the animation that I want. So now comes the magic. Now that I began with the end in mind and I already set everything, all the graphics in place, I make sure that the image of the boxer is where I want it. I make sure the text is where I want it. Everything where I want it first, then I'm going to create the animation. Because if you start putting all these elements into place and while your animation is live, it could become a little bit tricky, a little bit annoying, and a little bit tedious. So save yourself the headache and design your image first, design how you want everything to go first. And now we're going to jump into how to create the actual animation, okay? So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go up to window. I'm going to scroll down to where it says timeline. Click on timeline. And you're going to get this little guy pop up here, your timeline, okay? Now, when your timeline pops out, it's very important. We do not want to click on create video timeline, okay? We want to click on the drop down and we want to click on create frame animation and click on that. And then now click on the actual words. And that's going to give us our little timeline right here to the left. Now, what this does is creates little frames, and those frames are going to become our animation. So now that I want this to go live or to be animated, what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them off first. Okay, I'm going to turn them off because I want the first frame here to be blank. Now you see that right here that it's at 0 seconds. I'm going to go ahead and add some time to it. I'm going to start this GIF at 1 second. So this frame lasts 1 second. Then here comes the magic. Here comes the fun part. All we have to do is duplicate it by pressing this little guy right here. This plus sign which says duplicate selected frames. We're going to click on that. And now we're going to turn on each layer for each frame, okay? Again, we're going to turn on each layer for each frame. So this second layer here, I'm gonna turn on the eyeball here on the word first. Okay, now I'm gonna duplicate this again by clicking this plus sign. And on this third frame, I'm gonna click the word class. And then I'm gonna repeat the process one more time by clicking this plus sign. And now on this fourth frame, I'm gonna click on the eyeball for the word free. Okay, now I have first class free. Now you see what it did there is every time I created a frame and I turned on an eyeball, it created that animation for me. All right. So every time I get that frame, click on the eyeball, it records, let's say that, it records that action, okay? Now, each one I have at 1 second, and let's see how that plays out if I go from the beginning here. I'm gonna click on the beginning. Make sure that this is on forever too, you guys, okay? Forever. That means that you're just gonna keep looping and looping and looping pretty much forever as long as the email is open. Or you could time it out if you only wanted to loop 3 times, or you could put your own number in there. Now we're gonna go ahead right here and hit play, okay? And see how it works. Let's see how it looks. And boom, and that's the magic right there, boys and girls. First class free. And then you can make it go a little bit faster if you wanted to. You can make it go a little bit slower. Maybe I want it to go a little bit faster, so I'm gonna cut this second frame from 1 second to half a second, and the third frame also to half a second. Maybe even the first frame to half a second. And maybe for my last frame, I'm gonna have it be about like 2 seconds, just so it could resolve a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna click on my first animation, on my first frame, I'm sorry, and click play. And boom, that's all I want. Okay, and that's all I wanted from this. And I'm gonna hit Command S. I'm always hitting Command S periodically, just to keep saving. And that's a simple way, like I said, just a simple way to create an animated GIF. Now, we could do much more to it, but I just taught you kind of the basics, because now it's up to you guys to come up with in your own imagination. Now you understand the basics of just creating a frame, turning on the eyeball, and then it records that little segment. Now you have to your own ideas come into play on how you want to create your own GIFs. So kind of like it's kind of limitless options, I want to say, for what you could do with these animations. Okay, this is just a simple way of doing it. Okay, so now that we have this simple animation created, now we got to go ahead and save it as an actual GIF. Okay, now, because remember, right now we're on Photoshop document, and now I'm going to go to File, Export, and Save for Web. Okay, again, that's File, Export, and Save for Web. Okay, once you click on that, you're going to get a few options here. You're going to get this box pop up here. If you click on here, you're going to hit your original. This is your optimized, meaning that this is what you're working on. You could have 2 up, which is you looking at your original and you looking at what you're actually going to export. I like doing this because if I make any changes in this dialog box, I could see if I still have some good resolution. So now that I'm clicked in here, I'm going to make sure that I'm clicked on GIF. Sometimes it'll be changed to like JPEG or PNG or something. Make sure you're clicked on GIF. Okay. Once you're clicked on GIF, make sure that your size is good. Okay, 600 by 600. Okay, I'm good. And another thing to note here, that this is gonna save out at 136 kilobytes, okay? So this is very important because we do not want to upload anything that's a GIF or any kind of image to a website or email that's over 1 megabyte. If we do, we run into sometimes the situation where our emails could load slowly or website loads slowly because the website is too heavy in data. And so that's why we want to keep it under 1 megabyte. And that's why also we work with these smaller sizes. So 600 is kind of a good rule of thumb. So right here we're at 136 kilobytes, which is pretty small. So this is a good size. Like just as a reference, 1,000 kilobytes. Okay, 1,000 is 1 megabyte. So we're way under that. So we're good. Okay, so now that I've checked all those settings on my GIF, my size is correct. My looping options is forever. I'm under 1 megabytes. My colors, I'm at my maximum colors, and I'm still at a good size. I'm good to go. I'm gonna hit save. Okay, so I'm gonna go find my folder. And I usually create a new folder just as my folder hierarchy. I call it RTP. RTP for means ready to produce or ready to print. Some people put final or bounce, whatever you call it. And once I verify here, boxing.gif, perfect. I'm gonna go ahead and hit save. Okay, and now I'm gonna go ahead and close out of Photoshop. Just press Command S one more time. And I'm gonna go ahead and grab my GIF. I'm gonna go to that RTP folder. And here's my GIF. And one way that I like testing it is actually dragging it to Google Chrome. And it does a good job of previewing it for me. And there you go. And that's our animated GIF live on the net to see how it would kind of look on a browser. And that's it. If you have any questions, please make sure to message me, email me, comment down below. And until next time.